Greetings. Today we will walk the Whitewater Canal Trail in historic Metamora, Indiana. Established in 1992, the Whitewater Canal Trail currently consists of three sections: the Metamora Trailhead, the Yellowbank Trailhead, and the Tecumseh Landing Trailhead in Brookville. As of October 2023, the trailheads between the Yellowbank Trailhead and a site about 2 miles east of the Laurel Feeder Dam are complete. The approximately 1 mile section leading from Yellowbank to Tecumseh Landing in Brookville and a 2 mile section leading to the Laurel Feeder Dam are yet to be completed. The completed sections total about 8 miles. This is a point-to-point trail, not a loop, so you will have to hike to the end point and then return. Allow sufficient time to hike a total of 16 miles if you plan to hike the entire section. There is a handicap accessible parking lot just to the east of the Duck Creek Viaduct off of US 52 where the hikers may enter the trail. There are other access points as well. The entire trail parallels this 15-mile section of the Whitewater Canal, which was declared a National Historic Site in 1973. The Whitewater Canal's construction lasted from 1836 to 1847. During this time, there were many starts, pauses, and stops as the state of Indiana ran out of money and the various private companies charged with completing also ran into financial difficulties. After completion, it connected Hagerstown, Indiana with Cincinnati, Ohio, 76 miles to the south. The canal provided a quick, convenient way for farmers to transport their goods to market in the cities. Before the canal, a farmer would need several days' travel over deeply rutted roads to take his goods to Cincinnati. The canal proved a difficult construction project. It dropped 491 feet over the distance and needed 56 locks and 7 dams. Several aqueducts to carry the canal over waterways were also needed to construction. Portions of the canal operated until 1862. The Whitewater Valley Railroad runs a part of the canal as a tourist attraction between Connersville and Metamora, Indiana. The train runs alongside the canal, and at Metamora, visitors can ride a canal boat. The town of Metamora has many small shops and museums. The Indiana State Museum maintains an operating grist mill in the town as part of its network of Indiana State Historic Sites. In 1845, Jonathan Baines built a 3-story frame cotton mill known as the Metamora Cotton Factory on this site. Baines, a former contractor on the canal, converted the cotton factory to a flouring mill in 1856 and sold the mill to John Curry in 1857. Over the next several years, the mill was operated by various owners and was known as first as Hoosier Mills and later as Crescent Mills. The original mill was destroyed by a fire in 1899 and rebuilt in 1900. Following a second fire in 1932, it was converted to the present 2-story brick building. In 1946, the state of Indiana purchased a 14-mile section of the Whitewater Canal, including the mill, and ran it as a state historic site. Today, the mill grinds both white and yellow corn into cornmeal and grits, and wheat into whole wheat, flour, and cereal. The millstones are powered by the 12-foot breast water wheel in the canal behind the mill. The Metamora Cotton Factory was equipped with 1,000 spindles to spin raw cotton into thread. The 3-story mill opened in 1845. Bain had to import the cotton from the south because it was not grown in Indiana. The canal made it less expensive to import cotton cloth and ready-made clothing. Thus, the mill became unprofitable after the canal closed. Bain removed the cotton-making machinery and installed equipment to grind grain in the flour and mill. Several cotton mills operated in the state of Indiana during this period, using the power of water to spin raw cotton or wool into thread. The Indiana State Museum currently operates the mill, grinding corn into meal, which visitors may purchase as they watch the water wheel use the canal's energy to turn immense grist wheels. The trail also runs along the route of the Whitewater Railroad. The demise of the Whitewater Canal planted the seeds for the Whitewater Valley Railroad in the mid-1850s when floods washed out large portions of the canal. Franklin County residents petitioned the state of Indiana asking that the state sell the canal towpath to the route to use as a railroad. In 1863, the Indianapolis and Cincinnati Railroad purchased the rights to the towpath and built a line from Brookville to Hagerstown, Indiana. Portions of the canal remained open and became useful as power sources for grist mills like the one at Metamora. The Whitewater Canal remained open in Metamora until 1953. Western Avenue now covers it. The first Whitewater Valley Railroad was a subsidiary of the Indianapolis and Cincinnati Railroad. This subsidiary began the construction of the rail line from Brookville, reaching Connersville in 1867. The line punched through to Hagerstown the next year. The Big Four, Cleveland, Cincinnati, Chicago, St. Louis Railroad, purchased Indianapolis and Cincinnati Railroad in 1890. This line became New York Central in later years. These lines operated both freight and passenger services. The line discontinued passenger service in 1933. Freight service ground to a halt in the late 1970s and early 1980s. Formed as a nonprofit organization in 1972, the new Whitewater Valley Railroad operates as an operating railroad museum. The all-volunteer staff runs both a historic diesel and steam engines on the 18-mile track between Connersville and Metamora. For more information about the train schedules, the history, and other information, contact Whitewater Valley Railroad, 455 Market Street, Connersville, Indiana, 47331. You can call them at 765-825-2054 or www.whitewatervalleyrr. I'll say that over. It's Whitewater, www.whitewatervalleyrr.org. You can find information about the places in this podcast in my book, Southeast Indiana Road Trips. The book is part of a 9-book series that details just about any road trip destination in Indiana that you can think of, and many you will not think of. Each book covers a different region in the state, and each covers approximately 10 counties. Destinations include parks, museums, drive-in theaters, bowling alleys, and many, many other interesting places. The books, along with my 130-plus other titles, are found on my website, www.mossyfeetbooks.com. The books are available in ebook, softbound, and audiobook formats. Residents of southeastern Indiana can find them at the Walnut Street Variety Shop on George Street in Batesville. This podcast will be available as a video on YouTube and my Mossy Feet Books channel. Follow me on YouTube when you watch the video. You can also follow me on Facebook at Indiana Places and History page. If you follow me on Facebook, you'll be notified of when I publish a new book, usually about 10 new books a year. I also post tons of other content as well. You can also subscribe to my website, mossyfeetbooks.com, and get those same notices.